council. First thing we'll do is stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could I have the clerk please call the roll?
Bierstead,
Here.
Bjork,
Here.
Carroll,
Here.
Downing,
Here.
Morissette,
Here.
Odine,
Here.
Page.
Here.
All right, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 13th, 2025 meeting and the April 15th, 2025 retreat minutes. So moved.
Second.
Bjork first, Odine second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to approval with the bills with Mr. Carroll.
Mr. Council President and Council, I motion for approval of payment of bills of $927,098.55, subject to comptroller.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Bierstead. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. So we're gonna switch up the agenda real quick, and we're gonna bring the liquor license first instead of public comment. I'm getting thumbs up in the audience already, so I know that that's the case. So I'm gonna turn it over to Clerk White, and she's gonna kind of lead us through some stuff.
First, Council President, we're going to need you to do the public hearing.
Oh,
So you're
I'm
going to
sorry,
open the public
that's
hearing.
right. So we need to close the council meeting and open up a public hearing on liquor licenses for the city. So we're in public hearing at this time. Is there anybody that has any comments about liquor licenses that they'd like to bring forward? Anyone at all? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the council meeting, and then we'll turn it over to Clerk White, and she will handle roll call and some other fun stuff.
So when you hear your establishment name, please raise your hand. Aldi, American Legion, Bojangles, Bros, Burrito X, Dollar General, Emma's, Falls Theater, Family Fresh, Holiday, oh, Circle K, excuse me, Johnny's, Junior's, Quick Trip Store 301 and 453, Quick Trip Store 1104, Lazy River Bar and Grill, Luigi's Pizza, Mariachi Loco, Mel's, Nutty Squirrel, River Falls Golf Club, River Falls Moose Lodge, Shooters, St. Croix Lanes, Swinging Bridge, Termination Tavern, Ann Streeter, Walgreens, We Market Co-op, Westwind, Patax. Would we have the two new agents, Dwayne and Natalie, please approach the podium?
Thank you. As I mentioned to you earlier, I ask every new agent the same three questions. Many in the room have already answered the question. So I'll ask you them both. You can both answer at the same time. Do you understand the role of an agent?
Yes.
Do you currently possess your responsible server certificate?
Yes.
Do you understand that if an alcohol-related violation occurs, and even if you're not there, you're the one at fault? You're the one to take the fault?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for that.
Mr. Council President?
Yeah.
Could you please remove from motion number 1, Bojangles?
Oh, there it is.
The agent
Bojangles.
is
Okay,
not
so
in attendance.
Bojangles will be removed from that. Are they anywhere else?
They are not.
They are not, okay. All right, so now we'll move into the motion part of the evening. So, motion one is to grant renewal for the combination Class A liquor and Class A beer license contingent that all licensing requirements are met at the time of issuance. And we're looking for a motion here.
I so move.
Second.
All right, Downing and Bierstead. All right, any discussion?
Council President, due to my employer, I will abstain on this.
Okay, so Mr. Carroll's gonna abstain. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. All right, the next motion is to grant renewal of the combination Class B liquor and Class B beer contingent on all licensing requirements have been met at the time of issuance. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Bierstead and Downing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And the third motion is to grant renewal of the Class B liquor license, Class B beer licenses contingent that all all licensing requirements are met at the time of issuance.
So moved.
Dean,
Second.
okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll now pause for a brief moment while the agents leave in one big rush.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, that was very nicely done, Clerk White.
So just Bojangles was the only one that was a no-show.
Well, we're missing Bob and Steve's and a couple others that aren't.
Yeah, but that was
Yep.
supposed to be here.
Yep. All right, so we'll come back into a little bit of order here. And we will now move into public comments. If you have a public comment you'd like to make, please come forward, state your name and your address. You have 2 minutes.
Well,
Mr.
you
Hansen's
gave
been here
away a lot of my audience. I kind of resent that.
Well, it happens.
Yeah, I don't think it happened by due process, though. I'm William Hansen. My address is N8723, 1025th Street, River Falls. Turtle Month is a worldwide celebration dedicated to turtles and tortoises. It runs from Earth Day, April 22nd, to World Turtle Day, May 23rd, which we just passed. As we consider proposed future actions, like the elimination of Lake George through the destruction of our energy-producing Junction Falls Dam and hydroelectric facility, please consider some Lake Louise history. June 29th, 2020, we experienced an extremely heavy rainstorm. There was minor damage to the Powell Falls Dam, which retains Lake Louise. October 4th, 2020, more than 3 months after the storm, the city chose to drain Lake Louise. The dam's 6-foot wastegate was opened and Lake Louise was destroyed. For winter survival, turtles in the fall settle into a hibernation-like state in the mud at lake bottoms. They are protected from freezing by the unfrozen lake water above them. Draining Lake Louise in October left the lake turtles to die, trapped and suffocated in frozen mud. We tore away the protective lake water they needed for their survival. As we reflect on World Turtle Day, May 23rd, let us consider our past and future actions and their impact on all of the fellow residents of Earth, our shared common home. Let's do better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hansen. Anybody else have a public comment they'd like to make?
Council President, I have a comment.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Downing.
Thank you. Mr. Council President, I'd like to recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month. The theme is to turn awareness into action. This theme encourages individuals to move beyond simply recognizing mental health issues and to actively participate in supporting mental health well-being, whether by learning more, checking in with friends, or supporting community initiatives. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Bjork, I think you had a comment?
Yep, yesterday was Memorial Day that we all knew, but I just want to also make sure that we recognize that May was, or still is for a few more days. The Congress has designated May as National Military Appreciation Month. So that's the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force, and National Guard. So, and then as is a tradition with me, I want to make sure that we recognize that June is National Dairy Month. This started in 1937 and continues to this day. And Wisconsin is still America's dairy land, and we should be proud of that and carry that tradition on. So, and one last thing, if you don't like all that, and if you're a grouchy person, this Sunday, June 1st, is Oscar the Grouch Day. So you can enjoy this Sunday, Oscar the Grouch Day, June 1st. That's it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have a public comment? Who wants to follow Oscar the Grouch? Nobody. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda. Number 2, the acknowledgement of the following minutes. The library board from April 7th of 2025. The police and fire commission from March 31st of 25. The bid board from March 11th of 2025. Historic Preservation Commission from March 12th, 2025 and April 9th, 2025. Number 3 is a resolution adopting the Pierce County Multi-Hazardous Mitigation Plan for 2024 through 2026. Would anybody like to pull anything? Nope. Nope. All right.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items 3A through D and 4.
Second.
All right. Ms. Odine and Mr. Page. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We move on now to ordinances and resolutions. And I believe we're going to have a presentation from Finance Director Solinger regarding the resolution approving the termination of tax district. Let's try that again.
5,
Tax
easy for you.
increment district number 5. So Josh, we'll listen to what you have to say.
All right, Council President, Council, thank you. It's not often that you get to terminate a tax increment district, so we thought that in seeking your approval to do so, we would also take an opportunity to do a little bit of a celebration and a victory lap, if you will, and just talk about the success of this particular TID and what it did for the community. So just some background information about this tax increment district. It was created on July 26th, 1994. And at that time, state statutes revolving around TIDs have evolved over time. And at the time this was created in 1994, the city was not actually required to designate a specific type of tax increment district. You have mixed use districts, blight districts, and environmental remediation districts. And if we were to create a TID now, we'd have to designate it as one such TID. At the time we didn't, so it's not designated. And you can see the map on the screen that lays out the boundaries of that district, and it's approximately 311 acres. Now, over time, there have been a number of development agreements in that TID, starting in 1994 right away, and then the last one was as recent as 2013. Many of these developers in the projects that they brought in the community are still located in that district today. The impact of those developments, the current value of the district is about $31.6 million. And when the district was first created, it was about $467,000. So you can see what increment that brought into the community, which represents about a 6,670% increase in development value to the community from this tax increment district. And it results in about $100,000 in increment per acre. Now, to get into the finances briefly, To date, we've brought in a little over $19 million in total tax increment revenue. So those are your sources. And your uses, about almost $14.8 million have been used on project costs and debt service associated with projects. About $2.2 million have been transferred to the general fund to date. That's been used for the interest portion of an advance that the district owed the general fund, and you can see below that it repaid that general fund advance in whole. It was about $1.55 million. So there was an interest portion on that advance, and then there was also support for city operations, planning, and economic development that encompasses the rest of what those transfers to the general fund do. And when we talk through the fiscal plan every year, we spend a little bit of time talking about how growth and development in the community enables a lot of what we're talking about in that fiscal plan from a general fund funding strategy perspective. And this just kind of illustrates what a tax increment district over the course of its statutory life is able to do. Those are dollars that supported operations of the city and directly planning and economic development efforts in our community development department. And then last year, you approved a one-year extension for this tax increment district for the purpose of affordable housing. That's a relatively new statutory provision that's available to municipalities, and you've indicated to us that you'd like to take advantage of that when possible. And so part of the reason why the termination is before you today is because it's just at that point in time where it's reached the end of its statutory life. And based on last year's one-year extension, we had to approve the termination somewhere between about April and the end of June. So it's just coming before you now. Nevertheless, with that said, it was still an active TID as of January 1st, 2025. And then we'll collect those tax increment revenues in 2026, make that one-time transfer to the Housing Reserve Fund for the purposes of affordable housing, and then we'll be able to close that tax increment district. And by approving the termination today, the district will no longer be in existence as of 1/1 of 2026, and so that value will go back onto the city's tax roll. So then next steps, again, as I mentioned, tax increment revenue will be collected one last time in 2026 for the 2025 tax year, since we always collect in arrears. This termination requires a resolution approved by you, the city council, and then we will submit a final accounting agreement to the state. It basically just pledges that within 1 year from the date of the approval of the termination, we have to do a final accounting of the district to satisfy some state regulatory processes, send that off to them. It must be completed by a CPA, our third-party independent auditor, all that good stuff. And then, as I mentioned, the value of the tax increment district will then go on the general tax roll as of 1/1/2026. So we just want to take a moment, kind of do a victory lap with this particular TID because it was pretty successful, not only in bringing new development to the community, but also helping fund some of those general fund operating expenses that we talked about, since that's a strategy of ours, and we'll continue to do that as we talk about at the fiscal plan workshop. So that's high-level overview. I'd be glad to take any questions.
Do you have any questions for Josh?
That's good. Retires.
Oh, I think it's 7, but I can double check that and get back to you. 6 already closed, so I believe the next up would be 7, but I can double check that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I'd accept a motion for approval of the termination of the TID.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll move on to the administrator's report. Does anybody have anything for Scott that they'd like to ask him? Do we by chance have any numbers yet? It's pretty early, but on the number of people who took advantage of the most wonderful time of the year, throw all your stuff away week?
I got a number for, if you're referring to the cleanup day, the first day, which would have been Monday night, we think was probably a record. I went, so I don't have numbers offhand, but I know I got an email the next day, and I think I went Wednesday, and I was by myself, which was
Oh,
a very odd experience at the cleanup day, because normally you get in a queue, but they had, we had a very successful event. I'd say from standpoint of people were able to get it. The queue was pretty long on Monday, so I think that's a good note to us veterans to just wait till Wednesday. And there's the same amount of containers, same amount of people helping you. So that was good. And I think it rained did it rain Tuesday?
Yeah.
So that probably dampened it a little bit. But yeah, it was a good event, and we appreciate the partnership with Waste Management to be able to host that. Rotary was out there. They collected, recycled some medical equipment, crutches primarily.
for Africa, yeah.
So that was good to see. And then I think some of the volume on the electronics obviously is cut down quite a bit because we have the regular electronics recycling at the yard waste drop-off site. So
I took advantage of.
we will get you I'll get you I'll get the council an email.
Good.
We should have. I think they do tonnage, and then I don't know if they click for every car or not, but we should have some.
Well, I took advantage of both the electronics, yard waste, and then I was at the cleanup twice on Saturday morning. I was able to get 2 truckloads of stuff there, so it was busy on Saturday morning.
And we used to have, I don't know how many years ago it's been now, but we used to have, I think I recall a time when we just had one a year. But we've had spring and fall for a number of years now. So I think the volume is probably down, but I think residents do a good job of keeping things pretty tidy and recycling a lot of it. And then most of what ends up there is pretty past its useful life from what I could see. A lot of 3-legged chairs and
Yeah.
Stained pretty bad couches and things like that.
Anybody have anything else for Mr. Simpson? No? All right, we're gonna move on to the mayor's good news report, and he's provided me this report I'll read. Join Mayor Tolan and the city council members next Thursday, June 5th, from 6 to 7:30 at DeSanctis Park for the first cookout conversations of the summer. We'll have free hot dogs, ice cream sandwiches, and yard games for everybody to enjoy. And the second item he has on here is the Glen Park Pool is scheduled to open next Friday, June 6th at 6:15 p.m., weather permitting. Season passes for the pool can be purchased on the city's website or at City Hall during business hours, but are not available to be purchased at the pool office this year. So that's a little bit of a change, sounds like. All right, and moving on, we will have the reading of the Pride Proclamation by Ms. Odine.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Whereas the city of River Falls strives to be an inclusive community, an employer of choice as part of our efforts to be a distinct, vibrant, and safe place for people of different backgrounds to call home, and where in 2007 the City Council resolved to make inclusiveness a fundamental aspect and everyday priority of our community. And whereas the month of June has been recognized as Pride Month throughout the nation since 1999, and whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and is an opportunity to engage in dialogue to strengthen alliance and continually build understanding and acceptance. And whereas the City of River Falls is honoring Pride Month to support, recognize, and celebrate the contributions and diversity of the LGBTQI members of our community. Now therefore, Dan Toland, Mayor of the City of River Falls, hereby proclaims the month of June 2025 to be Pride Month in the City of River Falls, and authorizes the Pride flag to be flown at City Hall during the month as a sign of our commitment to celebrating diversity and prioritizing inclusivity. Given under his hand and seal of the City of River Falls on the 27th day of May, 2025.
All right, thank you. All right, I think that's all we have left. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
First from Bierstead, second from Odine. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.